let's understand, I think, something that I've not said up to this point, which is, who is he talking to? Who is the target audience here? Is it us? I think it is to some degree, but really it's the 12. I mean, he's talking to them because he's about to leave them. So let's just remember when he says things like, you know, in verse 7 when it says, if you stay in me and my words stay in you, you shall ask whatever you wish and it shall be done for you. Is that for all of us? Or is that for the 12 who are going to need that in doing their jobs? See, I think sometimes you have to remember the targeted audience, or who's the message targeted to. And it's not always going to be at this one or that one. It could be both. I think it absolutely is for us, but not really. I think it's primarily for them and anybody that would be in that role. And so what he wants you to do is covenant. He wants you to do everything he's saying here in John 15, which is to stay in him and his word stay in you. And then you bear fruit because fruit is the word in you in action. We do or don't do because the word is in us. The things we shouldn't do, we don't do. The things we should do, we do. The active expression of the word being in you is a fruit. The active expression. The world is not so much, let's only talk about the word hate. Let's kind of nuance that a little bit. The world is going to have issues with you or be uncomfortable with you or not know what to do with you because you're like an alien in their world. You're this strange thing that looks like them and seems to be like them, but you're not like them. And you're going to make them very uncomfortable. And they're going to hate that. Okay? They're not going to like the way they feel when they're around you. Not because you're doing anything to make them feel bad. Their own conscience is going to be wondering, if they're right, that means I'm wrong. And I don't want to be wrong. And I don't want to go and do what they're doing. And my bubble hasn't been popped, so I think they're wrong. And this makes them very internally conflicted. A lot of your Christian friends, especially if they think they know their Bible, they're going to try to show you what an idiot you are and how much they know the Bible better than you. Oh, and they're going to throw nothing but Paul at you because they don't understand what Paul said. All right? And then if you don't have a good answer, they're going to say, well, why would you even be doing that? You don't even know how to answer it. And that's when you have to say, I don't have to be able to answer you. I have to be able to answer my Creator that I understand it enough for me to do it. And if you really want the answers, go talk to my teacher because I think he's got the answers. All right? See, I know a lot of you still come to me and they say, well, my brother-in-law, blah, 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 my sister, blah, 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 and you want me to help you answer them. And my answer is always the same. Why? And then you're like, what do you mean, why? I'm like, why? But because they keep bothering me. Well, that's because you're letting them. Don't let them bother you. He's trying to help us understand that in that process, you're being chosen. You're being called out of and into. Out of the world and into the above. Into covenant. Into a different way of seeing everything. Okay? Into a different way of seeing everything. It's important that we get that. Okay? And when we see everything different, that puts us potentially in an adversarial relationship with everybody else. Remember when it talks about how we were enemies to him, basically. When we were Gentiles and acted all those ways in the world, we were enemies to him. Well, guess what? When we become him and we imitate him and become like him, we become enemies to them too. Or they become enemies to us. There's a big difference between someone who's out there evangelizing and an evangelist, okay? Or someone out there that's teaching and a teacher. Or someone out there who's prophesying and a prophet. Someone out there who's kind of planting and doing whatever, and an apostle. These are anointed positions. It doesn't mean other people can't do things like that and claim they're doing it, but you're looking for the ones that are anointed to do it, okay? And if you find them, you should be treating them with the respect due the one who put them there, even if you don't love the one you're interacting with. And I tell you right now, and you don't believe me, but if you interacted, all of you, with Peter or Paul or John, some of you would not like them. because of their personality and the way they did things. If I had not come and spoken to them, they would have no sin. But I did come and speak to them. So I know some of you are worried about family members and children, etc., where you taught them about Torah and they're still not doing it, and so are they all in big trouble? No. It's when Yeshua speaks to them, not when you speak to them. And so when Yeshua touches them and speaks to them, then they will have sin or not. Now, it doesn't mean they're still not doing things that we would look at as sin and they're doing things that are wrong, but as far as the above, looking at them to judge them in their sin, if he hasn't spoken to them, this is not the problem. He said, but I came and I spoke to them, and so they have sin. Okay, I think that's part of the biggest problem that we have and why we have so much anxiety and everything else. We're not very accepting of reality. It is what it is. Okay, that's like the motto of the Red, okay? It is what it is. And I will do what I can and then accept that whatever happens, it is what it is. And have peace with that. Some of you think that I'm cold-hearted and don't care because I feel that way. No, I just don't have all the anxiety and fear and stress that you have. I care deeply, but I recognize there's a limit to what I can do to influence things that other people are going through, whatever. I've told you my little tidbit that I thought was a tremendous insight, but it's so simple and so small, which is you have to recognize the limit to which you can affect reality. You have a very limited effect on all the things that are going on in the world. The world acts all that way. Yeshua says when you worry about all these things, the Gentiles do that. That's a worldly way of acting. The above doesn't worry about anything. Anything. Can you imagine the above worrying about anything? Did Yeshua ever worry about anything? Okay, there's no worry there because it's fully, completely under control. And we don't have to worry because we are connected to the above, so we know that the above has everything under control. Does that mean bad things will never happen? Absolutely not. Bad things do happen. But in the bigger picture, the above can fix things, set them right, or allow them to play out in the millennium. Love is something that is congruent to the group. Okay, if you're in the world loves the world in a certain way. It expresses that love in a certain way. It defines it in a certain way. He's saying, but you guys are now called and chosen to be out of the world and in the above. You're now in a different group. And in that group, this is how love is done. We observe the commandments, which teach us how to love our Creator and how to love each other. By doing this, we stay in His love. And His words stay in us if we stay in Him, and then they bear fruit. And this is how we then love each other. And so this is where we end up becoming friends.